Right, so we're on our Rover 75 2001 maroon one, and if you've been watching recent videos you'll see we've been doing the brakes, which are halfway through as we're doing this job. But in the videos you'd have probably seen both the front and the back brakes being done. But while we were doing them we found that this drop link looks like it needs replacing. The rubbers have completely failed, don't you? You can see there, and I'll bring you up here onto this drop link. Yeah, you can see just about there that the rubbers have completely failed on this. So while we've got it all stripped back, especially being we've got the back, or the back shields for the brakes removed and all the brakes, it's going to be a lot easier job to do it now. So that's what we're going to be doing, is changing the drop links on both sides. Always change them on both sides, although it's really this side that's failed. By the looks at the other side, doesn't look like it's failed, but the rubbers look pretty rough like on this side. So we'll be changing both, and I think it's always recommended to do that, and we'd certainly do that anyway. So I just thought I'd take you through the process and do a little video of us changing the drop links both sides on this Rover 75. Right, so because we're going to be, or have been painting all the suspension up and the brakes, what we're going to do is paint the drop link arms. What we'll do is paint them red, one, so hopefully they don't rust as quick, and also so they match in with what we've been doing. So that's what I'm going to do next. Then we'll get on with removing them and putting the new ones on. Right, so here are the new drop link arms. We've got two of them in a kit online, and what we're going to do is paint them red just to make sure they've got a bit of protection to stop them rusting any early, especially bits like that, and then they'll be ready to fit on the matching all of our suspension that we've painted the rest of. Right, so we've got the first coat on these drop links. As you can see, with masking taped up the rubber seals and the bits we don't want paint on. The first coat never goes on great. It normally takes at least another coat, sometimes a third coat. So that's what we'll be doing once that's dried. Right, so we're taking off the first nut. This has got a little bit you can put a span on to stop the ball joint turning. And the new ones we've bought have actually got a little Allen key inside the actual bolt, but these ones have done it this way. So we took the bottom off first. We haven't needed to support the suspension, hopefully won't have to. Now all we've got to do is remove the top one. Right, so now we've got the bottom one off, the top one's got to come out, and it looks like that's going to be the real difficult one because you just cannot get in here. We're even considering possibly cutting it off, and hopefully once we've got it all cleaned up and a new one, that'll be more manageable to do, but it's still going to be very, very difficult. So we'll just have to see how easier that is. So we'll have a little look more and see what we're going to do. Right, so what we have done, we have had to cut it together. It's not something we necessarily always like to do, but it's such a cramped in position, we've really got no choice but to do it. So hopefully you can see we're now just going to hopefully break the last little bit away, and that's what we're going to do next. Right, so we've managed to get it out. You can see there just sort of how tight it is, or it's probably a job to show. We've just got to paint that back up there where the grinder's taken the paint off. We just used a little grinder there just to do it. As we say, it's not something we normally like to do, but it was just too awkward to do, and unfortunately even the little bit of sort of bit you can normally put a spanner on, which is just in the wrong place to get to. So we're hoping when we do the new one, with it all being new and cleaned up, we'll be able to get to it and do it up, hopefully. There you can see the bit that's come off. We didn't show us grinding because it's just a job to get in there to show that. We don't want to damage the camera either from that. But yeah, that gives you a look at the old leg. What we're going to do now is just check it against the new ones. Right, so we've got the old one and our two new ones. Of course, when we get the old one off the other side, we'll have that as well. So yeah, I thought I'd just give you another quick look before we start fitting them. Now it's off, you can clearly see the rubber and how it's gone. It doesn't appear the weather has got in these, but obviously you don't want to leave it like that, because it's going to, and if you were doing lots of regular mileage on dirty winter roads, it's certainly going to get in there. Yeah, you can see there really how the rubber has gone, and it's certainly going to be an MOT advisory, if not not a fail. So we're glad we noticed it now, and being how difficult it's been to get that top one out here, we're certainly glad we're doing it while the brakes and the shield is off, because that's give us a lot more space to work in there, which normally it'd be even tighter. Right, so we're ready to put it back on. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier than getting it off, hopefully. Now this one, unlike the ones we've taken off, I've got like a little Allen key bolt in the both ends there. Might be helpful on this end, but this end is right up against the top of the spring, so really it's of no use at all. But lucky enough it has still got the little bit there that you can put the spanner on to do it up, and hopefully when it's all new and clean we can position it in a way that we can get the spanner on and do it up. But this really was very fiddly even getting back, but what we managed to do was get an open-ended spanner in at the top, and then you can see that spanner on the little ledge, and it was just a case of, after winding it in by hand, then getting the final tighten like that. But it was just a sort of a very fiddly, frustrating job, and there was really no other way of doing it, we think, unless you got involved in sort of removing the bottom ball joint and the steering and pulling it right out, which we didn't really want to do. So we tried this and it did work, but it was just a little bit thin. You can see there then with those two spanners you were able to just give it that tight and make sure it was nice and tight. And now it'll be a case of getting on with the bottom, which will be a lot easier because there's a bit more space to get in there. So we'll get on now and do that up. Right, so we're now going to get on and get that done up. What we also did, I forgot to mention, was just turn the steering so it's right out at an angle there, so you can get as much access to that top as possible, and that's probably helping a little bit for getting access down the bottom as well. Right, so that's the driver's side done now. What we do is go over to the passenger side, very similar hopefully to the driver's side. I won't show all of that, but we'll just show you when they're both done. Right, so we're going to remove this leg. Maybe we'll show you some little bits of this side actually. So it looks like this side actually is going to be a little bit easier than the other side, because hopefully you can see that the shield there is on the opposite side to the drop link, so it's not going to be in the way, and there's a lot more access to get in there. So hopefully this will go a little bit easier. And if the other side had been like that, it would have been easier that side. So yeah, this side looks like it could be a little bit easier. I'll just take you a sort of a distance back. And again, what we've done is tilted the steering right over to give us as much access as we can to get in there. Right, so this time we've managed to get the ring spanner on the top, and then the spanner on that sort of slotted bit of metal to allow us to undo it. So yeah, there is a lot more access to this side. And this is the passenger side we're working on at the moment. So now we just get that undone and we'll be able to remove the drop link arm away. Right, so we've got it out. We didn't have to cut it out, but it still was fiddly to do, but certainly a lot easier than the driver's side. We're now going to put the new drop link back in place. do it up into the top first and then into the sides. But interestingly enough, although the rubber isn't damaged on this drop link, they feel more or less like they're seized, which is something we wouldn't have necessarily have checked for. We mainly check for sort of damage or like the rubber boots like on the other side. So although we thought this side was all right and we would have changed it anyway, it's certainly interesting to see how they have more or less seized up and are not moving as they should do. Right, so that's the passenger drop link fitted. So that's both of them now done. A little bit more awkward and fiddly than we'd hoped. I mean, we did guess that it could be a bit of sort of an awkward job, but on the driver's side, where you just couldn't get in up the top, really did make it difficult, and we had to cut that old drop link out, which is something we really don't like to have to do. But other than doing other stuff like I mentioned earlier, that was the best way round it for us at the time. Hopefully it's been of use to you as always. They're not really how-to videos, they're just a way of you being able to see what's involved in the job and how we tackled it. As always, don't forget to look at some of the other videos we do, and if you're attempting any of the jobs we do on our channel, don't forget to have a manual, lots of information, even look at some other videos as well. As always, thank you very much for watching.